Yes, the clock's down here. Hello, hello, hello.
Okay, if you have your Gemara, Shalmich Rebbe label. Yesterday we went through the Rebbe's response to the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan. We're holding here the second to last line on the page, Megillah. Good morning, first of all, good morning, Mr. Minsky, and good morning, Rebbe label. For joining us again. Yossi, thank you very much for joining us again today. Shmuel, Mr. McDoodle, once again. Thank you for coming and joining us. And we're holding the second to last line on page Chavtes on the base, 29b. Your art scroll will be last 29b page. Wait, for you. That'll be 29b5. Yeah.
Chips, oh, sure.
Going back to the. Let's that. We're going to be quoting quite a lot this person called Rav Yitzchak Nafcha. First word in the we have a dot in many different Gemaras. On the second to last line of the page, the word is Itmar. We learned in a brisa. When Moshe Feinstein was 5 years old, and he was in the town where he grew up, and he was a very brilliant boy. And he was at 5 years old. He was already taken. He was past the age. He already learned Chumash already. So he was taken to the cheder where the older boys were, who were already learning Gemara. And he was, the first day they're taking out a Gemara and they're learning, and they come to a word, and the word is Itmar. If Gemara does not have Nikodas, and it says Aleph Yud Saf Mem Resh, which says Isamar, if you read the word. So his teacher asked him, could you read? And he said, yes, Isamar, the son of Aaron. And all the boys in his class started laughing at him. All the boys were older than him, and they knew the word is Itmar. He learned in a brisa. They all started laughing at him. And the teacher told all the boys in the class, actually, he's right. The word is Isamar. Isamar was the son of Aaron HaKohen. Aaron went out of his way to make peace between and obviously Israel between one and the other. And if someone mispronunciates a word, and you make fun of them, then actually the word is Isamar. You should take a lesson from Aaron HaKohen. If someone's learning a Gemara, then the word is Itmar. But if someone makes a mistake, the word is actually Isamar. This is a lesson he always kept for his life. Itmar. We learned in a brisa. Chol liyas Veyaddata tetzaveh. We're going to be, I would say, going back and forth on these tabs. This big screen doesn't work. It'll try a few minutes to get that to work. So, but online, you'll be able to see it. I just brought up an example from this year. This year is 2024. We had a double other. Parshas Tetzaveh was on Shushan Purim Katan. Parshas Shekalim, we read on, where is it? Parshas Shekalim, we read in here, 29th of Adar, Parshas Vayakel. We read it 2 weeks after Parshas Tetzaveh, but we read the same Parshas 2 weeks in a row, because 22nd of Adar Aleph was Parshas Kisisa, which the Parshas Shekalim is the first Aliyah of Kisisa. And the next week is Parshas Vayakel. We once again read Parshas Shekalim, which is once again Kisisa. So we read the same Parsha 2 weeks in a row. Now, if the Parsha before Kisisa, this, we don't need that anymore on the screen. The Parsha before Kisisa over here is Tetzaveh. Now, if Parshas Shekalim came out to be during Parshas Tetzaveh, I don't know if that happens often. I know it happens other weeks. I'm not sure if it happens on Tetzaveh, but if it does, we can sort of have a conundrum. Because you're reading the Torah reading of the week, and you're making an extra maftir of Parshas Shekalim. So you're reading the entire Torah reading of Tetzaveh. You come to the last Aliyah, and then from after you read the beginning of Kisisa, beginning of the next Parsha. But not necessarily do you even notice that you're reading something new for Parshas Shekalim, because you're just continuing to read from where you left off. So that's the Gemara's discussion going to be here. Chol Lias Beyaddata Tetzaveh. If Parshas Shekalim came out to be during the week of Ata Tetzaveh, and the parsha right after that is Parshas Kisisa, and Parshas Shekalim is right at the beginning of Kisisa. Omer Rebbe Tzvi says Rebbe Tzvi. We quoted him several times already. We're going to have him another several times. Who was he? He's not quoted anywhere in the Yerushalmi. He's only quoted in the Bavli. Nafcha means a blacksmith. Either he was a blacksmith or his father was a blacksmith. He learned by Rabbi Yochanan bar Nafcha, and who had a similar name. He married the daughter of Rav Papi. So there's many different halachas which come from him, many different mishalim. This Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. He lived at the same time as Rabbi Yosef, Ula, Chia bar Abba, Rav Acha, Rav Levi. Rabbi Yochanan Nafcha says, let me go back to here. Back to the Gemara. On the screen, we'll have it a little more clear. So it's now we're talking about Shabbos, Parshas Tetzaveh Shekalim. Karu Shita Veyaddata Tetzaveh Kisisa. So the first six aliyahs are reserved for the parsha of the week. So when it comes to Shishi of Tetzaveh, you're going to read till the end of the parsha. And this is not necessarily if Maftir was its own during that time. It depended on the minig of the place. If Maftir was a new aliyah, or Maftir was just Shvi, and then they read the Haftarah. And nowadays, since the times of the Go'inim, Maftir is its own separate aliyah. And we differentiate between a chiyuv, which comes from Moshe Rabbeinu and Ezra, to a later chiyuv, which happened during the time of the second Beis HaMikdash, with the Kaddish in between. But then many communities, Shvi, the last aliyah, was actually the Maftir, and so the one who had Shvi got the Haftarah, sort of like a fast day. Yom Kippur Mincha, the one who has Shlishi gets a Haftarah. So the first six aliyahs finish the parsha. And the seventh aliyah, Mikisisa ad Vyasisa. He reads from Kisisa until Vyasisa. Let me bring this up on the screen to make it a little more clear. I just brought up a tikkun, example of a tikkun karim where someone could practice online to lane. That's why I wish for today we had a screen that worked. But Hashem, it's shkacha pratis. So I brought up a column in a Sefer Torah over here, and this is verse 30 is part of Parshas Tetzaveh. This is the end of Parshas Tetzaveh. You should make a mizbeach. This is actually the maftir nowadays of Parshas Tetzaveh, and it goes all the way through verse 10. That is part of the last, or I think that's the last aliyah. That's Shvi of Parshas Veyaddata Tetzaveh, and you lane to the end. Verse 11. Part in the same chapter as prakim or divided. That starts Parshas Kisisa and Parshas Shekalim. Therefore, he says, the Rebbe Tzvi says that the asisa, the one who receives the shishi in Parshas Tetzaveh goes all the way to the end of the parsha, to Hashem, and Shvi over here starts from Veidaber, Kisisa, and it goes until the word V'asisa. And the second one is Kisisa ad V'asisa. He reads from Kisisa V'asisa until V'asisa Mizbeach Mikak Teres. Where is it? I think one of these V'asisas over here. So that's how you divide the aliyahs. Verse number 17 over here. It goes even further. It goes from, he says, all the way till verse 17. Oh, sorry, to Vasisa Kir. It says you read from verse 11 through verse number 16. That is Rabbi Tzvi opinion. And the second opinion, Amar Abaya has an opinion which disagrees with the opinion of Rabbi Tzvi. Amri, people are going to say, let's turn the page, till 30a, Ukmihu dekam mukmi hasam. This claim we just said earlier, no one's going to recognize that you're laning the parsha of Shekalim. Everyone's going to think that I read regular Parsha has seven aliyahs. I read 6 aliyahs, and I read the 7th aliyah from literally the next paragraph from the Torah. So no one's going to recognize that you're reading Parshas Shekalim. So what should you do rather? Ela Amar Abaya says, Podu Shita Miyatel Tzava Ad V'Yasisa. Rather, says something unique. What you do is you read 6 aliyahs and in Parshas Tetzaveh, and the 6th aliyah reads the 6th aliyah of Tetzaveh, 7th aliyah of Tetzaveh, and the beginning of the first paragraph of Parshas Kisisa, discussing the Shekalim. V'chad Tani v'Kari, and then Parshas Shekalim repeats over what the last part of the 7th aliyah, which is the beginning of Parshas Kisisa. So in short, you have something repeating, and it's not a maftir, it's shvi. Shvi will repeat what? The end of the aliyah of Shishi. And since he's repeating again, and everyone listening is going to say, hey, remember, they had a translator translating. Metorgaman, right? So everyone is like paying attention to the translator. Hey, didn't you just say that right before? And say, oh, why are you repeating it? It's Parshas Shekalim today. And everyone realizes, oh, I remember we got to give Shekalim. We got to give our shekel to the Beis HaMikdash. But if you didn't repeat it, people will think you're just continuing along the regular order. So these are the 2 opinions of the Gemara. And the Gemara will now discuss a little bit back and forth between these 2 opinions. What's that? We're holding Lamed Amud Aleph 30a. This is a test in Daf Chav Tes. I think we'll do it, start it off tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow, start on time. Start it off tomorrow with the quiz on Daf Chav Tes, because we just turned the page to Daf Lamed. The Gemara says, Meisevei, I'm going to bring a brisa, and based on this brisa, we're going to ask a question on the opinion of Abaya. Not Abaya, the first opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, who says that you don't repeat Kisisa, rather you end the Parsha during Aliyah of Shishi and continue Parsha Kisisa with Shekalim in the Aliyah of Shvi. Gemara has a question, Meisevei, I'm going to quote a brisa which asks a question. It says, Chol liyos Parshas Muchala, bein milchanea, bein nacharea, per noisa v'koif l'noisa. There's a brisa which states, back to our calendar, if Parshas Shekalim is in the week before Kisisa, which isn't Tetzaveh, or like it was in this year, the week after Kisisa in the Parsha of Vayakhel, then you repeat Parshas Shekalim twice. And the Gemara sort of understands right now to understand, to take that what it means is you repeat it on the same day twice, which is like the opinion of Abaye, which says that you repeat Parshas Shekalim twice. It becomes Akisisa. Gemara says, Bishlam ala Abaya. Granted, according to the opinion of Abaya, this works out very well. Because Abaya just stated that if it comes out on the week of Kisisa, you repeat it. If it comes out in the week of Tetzaveh, you repeat it twice. Shishi reads all the way through Parshas Shekalim, and then Shri repeats the part they just read in the beginning of Kisisa again, and that's in the week of Tetzaveh. So according to Abaya, we understand why you would repeat Parshas Shekalim twice on one day. According to Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha, who says that you do not repeat Parshas Shekalim twice. He says rather Shishi goes to the end of Tetzaveh, and Shvi'i is Parshas Shekalim, according to him. Kashi, we have a question. How does this brisa fit for, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha? You have a difficulty, because Parshas Shekalim is only read once on that Shabbos in Parshas Tetzaveh, not read twice. And this brisa, which stated, brisa teaching from the Tanoim, which states that if Parshas Shekalim comes out to be in the week before or after Kisisa, you read Parshas Shekalim twice. Mar answers, Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha answers back. Ulabaya minicha. This brayse doesn't fit completely according to Abaya either. Because Abaya said that you repeat Parshas Shekalim 2 times if Parshas Shekalim comes out to be in the week of Tetzaveh. However, however, if Parshas Shekalim comes out to be like it was in this year, on the Parsha of Vayakel, down here, so Parshas Shekalim came out to be in the week of Vayakel, why should I be repeating? How does it come out that I repeat Parshas Shekalim twice in the same day? You don't, right? Because I read Vayakel to the end. So let's say Shishi, I'll read to the end of Vayakel, and then Shri will be Parshas Shekalim, which is in Parshas Kisisa. So everyone's going to say, "Hey, didn't we just read that last week, Parshas Kisisa? Oh, why are we repeating it? It must be this week at Parshas Shekalim." You get everyone's attention. You know, that's what I do all the time, right? I repeat the same daf, but for some reason, no one tells me, "Hey, you just did this last time." Let's say if you have a Dvar Torah, you can repeat it every week. If you have a story, you can repeat it once a month. If you have a joke, you can never repeat it. If so, this brayse does not fit according to the teaching of Abaya, which states that if Parshas Shekalim comes out to be in Parshas Tetzaveh, you repeat Shekalim twice on the same day, but not if you, what about the week after, if it comes out to be Parshas Vayakel? Ella ma yislach l'meimar. So in order to make the brayse fit with the words of Abaya that you, which Abaya states that in Parshas Tetzaveh you repeat Parshas Shekalim twice. Koifla b'shabbasis. It doesn't mean you read it twice on the same day. Rather, it means you read it 2 weeks in a row. You don't say that since I just read it last week, I shouldn't read it again. And that's what it means, koifla. Koifla doesn't mean that you do it twice the same day, but koifla means you do it twice, 2 weeks in a row. So 2 over here, this brayse, what it means that you repeat it 2 weeks in a row. And so this brayse could fit both according to Abaya and according to Yitzchak Nafka. Because all the brayses really telling us is that you repeat Parshas Shekalim twice in a row. So this year, for example, we had this exact brayse playing out because we read Parshas Kisisa, Chaf Beis Adar Aleph, and next week Chavtes Adar Aleph, we read Parshas Shekalim, and we read the same Torah reading 2 weeks in a row, which is quite convenient. You don't have to really be goylel Sefer Torah. But most shuls which have multiple Sefer Torah, we anyways take on a new Torah for the Gedula, for the greatness of it. It's 11:36. Let me pull up the mimer on the screen. Now, you have a very simple question. What does Rabbi Tzvi say back to Abaya? Abaya says people might not realize that you're reading Parshas Shekalim. So what does Rabbi Tzvi say? He's not worried about that. If you're just continuing to read, but he says it's better not to repeat if you don't need to. Because a repetition could many times could lose a person. The person could not realize what they're doing. So you don't repeat if you're able to avoid it. It's also possible, according to Abaya, people could have this mistake thinking like this. Abaya says that you repeat Parshas Shekalim. Right, so in Shishi you read Shishi of Tetzaveh, Shri of Tetzaveh, and Parshas Shekalim in Kisisa, and Shri repeats it. But let's say you go to shul. On Shabbos you need to have 7 aliyos. If I go to shul, for some reason the person called up for Shishi read till the end of the parsha. What do you do now? You need 7 aliyos. You call up a 7th person. The 7th person, what they do is they don't read the next week's parsha. They repeat what you just learned. So people might think that might not necessarily realize that you're repeating it because it's Parshas Shekalim. People might think you're repeating it because a person got the aliyah didn't know where the aliyah ended, or wanted to show off how great of a voice he has and decided to lane even longer. But not necessarily will they realize that the reason why they stopped is and repeated it is because it's Parshas Shekalim. So he answers, if that's the case, that all you have to do really is read 3 psukim to make a 7th aliyah. You don't have to, but Parshas Shekalim is, look, it's from verse 11 through verse 16, which is 5 psukim. The fact that you're reading so many psukim means that it's not just someone made a mistake, but rather you're actually reading Parshas Shekalim. Also, it's not that common. I've seen many times, not many times, much more common. I've seen people ending an aliyah early. But making aliyah go longer, I haven't seen that happen that often. Nowadays, we're able to easily recognize that if we're reading Parshas Shekalim from the fact that we take out a second Sefer Torah. And so we take out a second Sefer Torah, so we're easily able to have the recognition. Some people, or in some places, we only have one Sefer Torah, and let's say it's in the week of Atat Tzava, but we still have a recognition because nowadays Maftir is its own aliyah today. It's not Shvi. Haftarah doesn't get Shvi, rather it's its own aliyah. So therefore you finish laning, and now you're saying Kaddish, and then you're continuing to the next Parsha, or Parshas Shekalim. So the Kaddish lets everybody know that we finished the weekly Torah reading, the weekly Parsha of the week. And what I'm doing now is something else. And the Maftir is reading something new, is not because we're there, but not because we happen to be in that spot, but rather because of Parshas Shekalim. Let's go to the hand up the Marb here. Holding here, page 182. There you go. Do a new share. A new share. Well, it's almost like a new share. Sharing a new topic. Remember what we spoke about last time? That Sanhedrin has to, when they deliberate, they can't take any recesses. They can't take an adjournment of the court. Right? You don't have to pay any court fees, believe it or not. Adjournments. You have a court case now. Take 3 years, right? No matter what the court case is about. Right? And the only ones who are profiting from it are the lawyers. Of course. Now, we brought several examples from several great people. Avram Avinu. Remember Avram Avinu? He did not look at all the troubles, tribulations that were happening. He only thought, what does Hashem need from me? And a miracle happened. Nimrod threw him into a fiery furnace, and he didn't die. Because the fact that the fire could kill someone is because that's the nature Hashem made in the world. But now that he's going beyond nature, he connects straight to Hashem. So the nature didn't have any type of concealment or problems with him. And when he had a test, he had a challenge. That challenge brought him, and he withstood the challenge. Then he was able to reveal the unlimited light of Hashem. In order to come to a revelation, it's page 183. Amit Shem Havaya Bilti Bal Gvul. And we gave examples. Remember Chanina ben Doisa, Yohan Navi, and Har Carmel, who by him the vinegar burned for the Shabbos candles instead of the oil, or over there the fire consumed the water. I put in so much water, and the fire consumed all of it. And Har Carmel. In order to have a revelation of the name, dimension of Havaya, Bilti Bagvul, K'moshehu, the way it is above Shem Elikim. Habilti Balgvul. This happens by confronting and overcoming challenges. When a person overcomes challenges that are thrown their way, we just find the spot over here. When a person overcomes challenges that Hashem gives them, why does a person receive challenges? From which, not why, but from which source? Comes from the name of Elikim, when Hashem is concealed. It's possible to come to a revelation of the infinite qualities of the Aron Sof of Hashem, which transcends the limits of nature. So why does Hashem make it so hard? Why does he throw challenges at us? Imagine, Dovi's a very smart guy, and you could probably play a chess computer, and you probably could play level 20, 25, I'm sure, right? It's a challenge maybe. But let's say you're such a good player, and you're always playing level 1 over and over and over and over and over. How would that feel? Probably not too exciting.
Yeah.
If you would be playing the fastest supercomputer which ever existed, even the best player can never win against such a computer, right? It's a supercomputer. It'll be too much for anyone to handle. Would you ever play against them? I don't know. It'll be boring. You're never able to win. Maybe you could learn from them. If you would only have Shem Havaya being revealed, without being here, this paragraph over here in English, without being concealed or being enclosed through the name of Havaya, of Elikim, of the concealments of Hashem, the worlds would not be able to exist at all. There never be any limited beings which are aware of themselves, self-conscious, aware that they exist. Just like a table, does it know that it exists? Could you hurt its feelings? If you scream at it, you beat it, I don't think we'll get offended at you. We won't fight back. The name of Havaya, in order for the worlds to be independent, independent feeling or self-conscious beings, happens through Hashem's name of Elohim, a external ray of the name of Havaya, as we explained before. So it's not just the great people we spoke about, Eliyahu Hanavi, Avram Avinu, Rebbe ben Doisa, who have very deep, personal, intimate relationships with Hashem's and Hashem's infinite energy. It's not just them. Each and every one of us could do, and we're actually asked or it's expected for us to do the same. And according to the caliber of the person, that's what Hashem gives them the ability to do. Hashem does not give anyone something that they can't handle, something that's more than their ability to do. So for Avram Avinu and for Medoisa, he gave them tremendous difficulties, but for us, Hashem sends other hardships. It could come in the form of finances, politics, pain, health, faith, anxiety, anger. The purpose is not for us to become broken from it, but rather to reinvent ourselves. By being forced to choose between fear or bitachon, believing faith in Hashem, so we're always given the opportunity to either remain stuck where we are or to throw ourselves past all this with a supreme effort and to go back and to raise ourselves to Hashem, just to loving embrace of Hashem. And if people are going to say, don't give me this, don't give me that, don't give me your test and don't give me the benefits from the test.
That's like Rabbi Yochanan
Ben
Nuri or something.
Which said?
where he that he doesn't what actually the no, there was actually start the ahava. Oh yeah, but that's a different concept.
I think it's connected. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It builds you up. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Correct. No, it's there to build you up. Correct. But the Torah clearly says so, right? By the mitzvah of a mediach, someone comes and is a mass missionary, very successful missionary, and convinces most of a city to serve idols. Don't listen to him. Hashem is testing you to know if you will be faithful to him, right? And if you love Hashem with all your heart and all your soul. The Torah says straight out, this is the purpose of creation, to always pass through challenges. The purpose is not necessarily to come out on top, right? There's no need for every single person to be a tzaddik, but to be a beinoni, right? To be a beinoni, to be someone who's always working on themselves. And if you take the word tzaras, I think almost everybody knows what tzaras is. It's probably part of the English dictionary at this point. What? Tzarot. Right, tzaras are problems, but if you rearrange the letters, it's called tzoyhar. Tzoyhar means a light, a gem, a light at the end of the tunnel. As soon as we change our perspective, instead of looking from the ground level, from a tzara, rather you change it, make it a tzoyhar. You see the light of Hashem shining on it, and suddenly, instead of trying to find your way around the maze in the dark, suddenly the light's on. And from there, you can see how Hashem is only giving us a challenge to connect with Him in a better way. So when we're challenged with something, it's not a crisis, but rather it's a conduit to something greater. And how many stories are there about such an exact type of thing? Do you know the most, the instruction in the Torah, which it tells us the most times? Which thing? The construction to the Jewish people. You know, it says, "Asisim mizbeach, make a mizbeach," or which instruction is the most times in the Torah, more than anything else? 110 times in the Torah it says these words. Two words, al tira. Al tira, don't fear. It's over 110 times. Imagine al tira, 110 times. This is instruction which we're instructed to do more than anything else. What are the first words of Havdalah? I believe in Hashem, I will not have any fear. What are the last words we say when we leave shul after davening? Al tira, right?
Oh yeah, al tira.
Exactly, we have our al tira choir over here. All right, meaning when you're leaving shul, you're leaving your safe space and you're going out to the world, there's no need to be afraid. Instead of whenever we know someone comes up with a challenge and the first thing is to panic, and the first thing we're told us is reach higher, right? Faith trumps fear. It's not a question if things are going to be difficult. It's only when things will be difficult, when we have hardships. When that happens, our challenge is how we are going to react. Are you going to react with the first emotional response, which every single person probably has? Or you're able to use your emunah and bitachon, your faith in Hashem, to go beyond. So from the very, very beginning, Al tira Avram, Hashem tells Avram, don't fear Avram, right? I'm with you. From the very beginning, Hashem has been telling us nothing to fear about, nothing to worry about. Again, I understand when you're on the ground, and the emotions sometimes take over. And that's why we have to repeat and drill this message over and over and over again, right? Because a soldier in a war doesn't have time to panic, right? That's why they're trained so much, to make it part of them. So Hashem tells us it over and over, and this mimer is bringing us also saying over and over the same thing, that if you just blow away the cover of every challenge and test that Hashem gives us, and open your eyes to the truth of everything and every trial that we're giving, realize that Hashem is rather opening up a window. He's opening up a new opportunity for us. V'az dafka yicholim lovei ligiloi b'chinas pnimius yasma shem mevaya bilti bal gvul chulu. And then you're able to come. I'm just going to make the English size larger because Hebrew is not the right side of the page anyways. like this. Here. And this process makes it possible to come to the revelation of the inner, essential, and infinite dimension of the name of Havaya, of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, the name of creation. Avram Avinu had a test, right? A test of faith. Nimrod, almighty king, wherever he goes in the world, Nimrod's able to chase him and grab him. And Nimrod says, bow down to me as a god, otherwise he'll be thrown into this fiery furnace, and the flames are huge, and they're leaping up at them. And as Medrash says, just as soldiers were getting to the furnace, 40 soldiers were burnt from the heat of the furnace. He says, or you're being thrown into that. And still, Avram Avinu was able to stand past that. So in a similar way, in a smaller sense, but whenever a person confronts a challenge, which is inevitable for every single person to have, because the world runs according to the rules of nature that Hashem set. And these obstacles and concealments hold back and hinder a person from advancing, learning Torah, from advancing in service of Hashem. So when a person is able to stand fast against every obstacle and hindrance, God forbid, never to become separated from godliness. You should learn Torah and serve Hashem and daven and work on yourself. And every person is given abilities by Hashem to do it in their individual capacity. They reveal a light of Hashem, which transcends nature. And it's not a light that you turn on the light in the room. It's a light that you turn on your light in your neshama, in your soul. And this is the whole purpose why Hashem created man, to overcome challenges. As if Hashem didn't want challenges, and there to be challenges, he wouldn't have created you. But the fact that he created you shows that he trusts you and he empowers you. You have a special mission to do, and you have a very unique task that's set aside for you. And Hashem knows you could do it, and that's why Hashem created you, and you're still around. Came down into a physical world, a day-to-day existence, an earthly plane. And people are very limited within the confines of the natural order. As much as you would like to do time travel, right? And a person thinks they have to act in such a manner, and have to act in the natural way of meaning. Have to, make sure that I check all the boxes. Basic masamatan, for example, when it comes to business, someone thinks, okay, I gotta make it. I gotta be there at the stock market in China opens up at 10 a.m. China time, and the stock market in here closes at that time. I'm gonna start working from 6 a.m. or 4 a.m. till 10 p.m. I have to wake up extra early, and go to sleep extra late. In the whole day and night, be involved in my business. And if I might take an hour, take some time and learn Torah during that time while daven, I'm gonna for sure have a big loss in my business. And might appear to a person similarly. He has to make certain crafty techniques regarding to your business. And it's impossible to follow the path of truth. If I follow according to the path of truth, I'm not going to be successful. Right? So therefore, I got to given some false numbers on my taxes, and I got to pad a little here and a little there, and not pay the suppliers or anything else, or overcharge the customers. Because otherwise, I mean, if you don't steal, you don't earn. Right? There's an old saying in the or you might lose out. And you're going to say, this is the way things work. So I got to run with the nature. But the truth is, this is all from the challenges which Hashem gives to us. The fact that a person has his challenges is not because learning and davening is going to get in the way. Because it's impossible for the world to work and be in such a way which is going to be not letting a person go into in the path of Torah. I mean, the world is impossible to be a contradiction to following the Torah mitzvahs. And to go in the way of truth. Every concealment and veiling is not really a true concealment of Hashem. Because in truth, every single thing in the world only helps out the Torah. It helps a Jew to do a mitzvah. Okay, so one small example of this. An example from Hershel remember when he was imprisoned, in a place called prison, and he worked very strongly during the entire time that he was there on his bitachon. And there was one time there was an appeal which looked like it had very good chances, and he had two of his lawyers coming to greet him to the place called prison to meet him. And they had a meeting set up at 8:30 in the morning, and they needed. He said there's only about 2 or 3 hours that they're allowed to meet with lawyers a week, and they needed to meet the entire time. There's a lot of material to go through in a very short time to go through. And lawyers flying in from California in order to meet him. And plus another lawyer from New York is coming to meet him. So it's a very important meeting. What time? And
Shiur.
Correct, Rabashkin. And he says 8:30 in the morning is when they're going to greet him. Now it says he arranged over there. He was in Karav many Jews. The Yiddish guy made brism and all that. And there's there's a daily minyan starting at 8:30 when you're first time you go to the chapel. And he says, I don't want to miss a minyan. Told them we understand, but this is very important. This is an appeal and it's good chances, and every single minute we have to meet is very, very important. So one time, skip minyan. And so he told them like this. He says, who do you think is going to get me out of this place called prison? I think it's you and all of your legal twists and turns that you could find in order to try proving this or that. And that's what's going to get me out of prison? That's not what's going to get me out of prison. He says, it's a challenge that Hashem is throwing at me. And therefore, if I skip a minyan, Hashem wants us to daven with the minyan 3 times a day. And if I skip it, in order to try leaving, I'm asking Hashem to redeem me, to free me all the time. And the way I'm going to do it is by skipping a minyan. He says, I'm going to go to the minyan. When the minyan's done, I'm going to come to the meeting. And they tried telling him over, and his family tried telling him this is important, and he didn't listen. And he went to the minyan, and the minyan finished at say about 9, and then he showed up at say 9:10 or 9:15 to the lawyer's room. So he lost almost an hour. And he comes to the meeting with the lawyers, and only one of the lawyers are there, and they're waiting. And the last minute, like about 5 minutes later, one of the other lawyers, the one from California, came running in. He says, "My flight was canceled. I had to book a new flight. I got delayed. I just managed to get here right now." He says, "Imagine." And they had a meeting, and it was they did a lot in a short time. And later on, even the one from California says, I feel we're very productive today. Says, imagine you would have skipped going to minyan in order to go to this meeting. What would have happened? He would have been sitting around waiting for the other lawyer to come at any rate. Would have anyways wasted his time and not gone to the minyan. So we see that that's just one example that when someone does what Hashem wants, and think to yourself, if this is what Hashem wants right now, it's impossible that anything else in the world could be different. And with that, I want to thank everybody very, very much.